issues of disparity between the public and the private schools discussed under the topics of curriculum and number of enrollments seem like a child's play when placed side by side with other issues such as the out-of-school children, which UNICEF has placed at 10.5 million children, and 60% of these children are said to be in the northern part of the country. This has further been compounded by the after effect of insecurity challenge, which is pronounced more in the region. According to the federal government, about 1,500 primary and secondary schools in Borno, Adamawa and Yobe State had been destroyed and almost 3,000 teachers killed by Boko Haram since 2014. The climax of attack on education in the north is, however, the adoption of the over 200 schoolgirls in Chibok, Borno State, as well as the episode with the 110 Dapchi girls in Yobe State, many of whom have been returned to their parents. The consequences include schools being shut down, and with the displacement of the residents, children are not available in schools. The federal government says it has not denied the existence of these issues and has made efforts to calm nerves and restore confidence in the system.
Northeast is a priority to the federal government because of what happened. It has happened in Chibok and it has happened in Dapchi again. So we've already sent our request to the federal government for additional manpower, of which the federal government is addressing. But for now, we have to withdraw from areas that are of not much priority now to the northeast, because it has happened in Chibok and now it has happened again in the Dapchi. We will make sure that it doesn't happen again in the northeast. We are prepared to face this challenge wherever it is, so long as it is in Nigeria, it is in the northeast. We will cover these institutions. We will provide physical security to these institutions. We will make sure that these girls study under a very calm, cool and collected atmosphere.
Outside the Northeast, recently the revelation that most teachers are not well trained was opened by some state governments. The issues have come up in Edo, Osun, and the latest being in Kaduna State, where over 21,000 teachers who failed competency tests were sacked in 2017. Eventually, about 25,000 new teachers were tested for employment.
We have set off a screening team, 3 for local governments, to really rescreen those people that were earlier shortlisted to really teach in our schools. Initially, we had about 15,000. Now we have 11,895, which means that screening, that rescreening we did, had further filtered, those unqualified teachers that were to surreptitiously enter our list without, due process. We have removed them. We are now comfortable that the 11,000 that we have recruited, that we have deployed to our schools, are competent. They are really professionally, proficient to really deliver as, expected. We, in fact, did not even just take them directly to classrooms. We organized an induction course, a very rigorous one, an 8-day induction, where these teachers were really exposed to, new skills in, delivery of their subjects to students. We really took them through classroom management, the other pedagogical skills that will enable them effectively teach in these schools. At the end of the day, both the old and new teachers were really happy that yes, the state for the first time is really very, very committed and keen in seeing professionalism restored in the teaching profession.
Many children have been used by their parents as economic support. According to the International Labour Organization, the number of working children under the age of 14 in Nigeria is estimated at 15 million. The high level of diverse and tedious jobs that children execute in dangerous circumstances is particularly worrying. These jobs include being street vendors, beggars, car washers or watchers, among others.
If I'm telling my father I want to go to school, he said I should go and catch fish. And I said I'm going to school. They say I do not have any money to help me to school. If my second one is going to school, if I'm old, I used to ask them some questions. They used to tell me, like now is the name of any person, animal, place, or things. They used to tell me all that thing. Like in mathematics now, they used to tell me 2 times 1 to 12. They used to tell me everything.
In fact, I was saying the other day when my daughter was talking, I said, this child should be at home. In the evening, you see them selling plantain all over the place, selling oranges and all of that. So parents still have to subsidize. So I think a lot of kids are still having to go out on the street at night to sell so that they can, they can have a good life. So child labor is still an issue. A lot of kids are out there. I see them every day. And they are selling after school. Some of them are not even going to school and they're selling. So parents are using their kids to make money. So child labor is still an issue because they shouldn't be there. They should be in school learning. They should be at home after school doing their homework. They should not be on the streets. A lot of them are getting killed. That's why the government started some of the social programs that the present government is doing. And they are giving money to certain, I think, families, I'm not sure. But they're giving money. But there's what they call the cash transfer. That when you know you want to ensure that a family allows a child to go to school, then give money to the mother. So the mother has money either to go and do a business in the market, and she doesn't use her child. So in that way, the mother will have a contract with you to allow her child to go to school. So things like that are cash transfer, things like that are opportunities, or they are creative ways of ensuring that the parents will release their children to go to school. So we just have to think of creative ways because people have to have a sustenance, and their children, as long as they're about 5 or 6, 7, they believe they can send them to the streets because they're thinking that I have to use this child. But meanwhile, that child is supposed to be having an education. If that child doesn't get into the classroom and that child doesn't have an education and that child becomes a dropout, then we have a bigger problem in society. So hence you have the criminals and you have people joining Boko Haram and all those sects because they didn't have an education.
Solving these challenges require funding, which many agree cannot be solved by the 7% allocation of the 2018 budget.
When there is no funding to cater for the useful areas in education, how do we move forward? You want to talk about the teaching and learning materials, school laboratories, school libraries, dilapidated buildings. They all need funds to be upright. You want to talk about teachers' welfare. Let me tell you, and you also know this, that people take teaching as a last option, the last result. Instead of staying back at home and not doing any work, they would not go to teaching. And teaching is a noble career that should attract the best brain in the society. Teaching is not just for anybody, but what we have in Nigeria, we have people that cannot get jobs in the banking sector, in the oil and gas industry. They will not say, okay, let me take the teaching job so that I don't just sit at home. It's not supposed to be done. And it is simply because the sector has no fund to flourish the way it should be.
Education funding should be done properly, adequately. What we are doing now is far cry from the UN recommended percentage. We should be doing something like 20-something%. We should also, this policy shift in education, where today you have 644, tomorrow somebody thinks we want to do something. We should actually make up our mind what we want to do, depending on what result we want to get. Because we can't continue to do the same thing over and over again and get a different result.
That's our story on this episode, but obviously many more grounds need to be covered in the education sector in Nigeria, and we would like to hear from you about that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ini John Mekwa.